Now, world's largest community for startups, everything around entrepreneurship, and the chapter of Hyderabad is active since the last 3 years. I've been running it along with two other colleagues of mine, Revant and Yash. They're not here today, unfortunately, but we are a community that has been doing a lot of events, bringing entrepreneurs, bringing founders of several startups and companies like even Martjack that have exited big time, innovators, venture capitalists, so on and so forth. So it's been a great learning for the community from people like Abhay. We invited so many people last 3 years. Today's thing, however, is a little different. It's a series of SaaS, companies and SaaS founders we have been interacting as part of SaaS Track. So SaaS Track is a series of SaaS thought leadership series, brought to you by Startup Grind Hyderabad. And the idea of this is to give a 360-degree perspective to everything around SaaS. And today we have with us Abhay Deshpande, who's the founder of Martjack, the poster boy of Hyderabad SaaS, startup. So he's been, Abhay is known for his great exit or, building Martjack and selling it off for Capillary Technologies for a great value. We do not know what is it valued. Probably he will tell us, in this session. But, welcome, Abhay. It's so nice to have you here. A very senior SaaS leader, as we can call you. So thanks for accepting the invite and being part of Startup Grind Hyderabad. So thank you.
Thanks for inviting me. I think it is a pleasure to be here and share my experiences with the fellow entrepreneurs who are trying to build something in SaaS or anything apart from SaaS also.
Yeah, I mean, let's hear from your second venture that is more into recycling, waste management rather. I think it's broadly under waste management. So probably you can give some things towards the end of it. Let's get this started off with the first question that typically comes to most of us. Abhay, what was it like before starting Martjack, and how did that whole idea of entrepreneurship get into you?
Yeah, so I think Martjack was not my first venture. So Martjack is actually my second venture. So I started my first venture in 1998, a company called Malamal.com. I think it was again a first e-commerce marketplace of India, pretty ahead of the time. I think 10 years. I should have started Martjack in 2007 or 2008, but then I started in 1998. With the idea that we'll bring all the local ethnic products of each city online and give them a platform to sell it to So I'm basically from Bombay and I came to Hyderabad for a job, and I used to, a lot of friends from Hyderabadis from Mumbai who were my friends were asking me to get these Karachi biscuits and Polarity sweets from here while I was traveling between Hyderabad and Mumbai. And I used to go by train those days. So I found a lot of people carrying those products together. So, and these guys were like used to announce that we don't have any branches, right? Those were the days like where that was proudly announced, we have only one branch.
Yeah.
And people used to come in queue and buy the product. So I thought, why not provide a platform where all these products can be made available online and people staying outside that city where we have that emotional connect. Any Hyderabadi has that emotional connect with Polarity Sweets and Karachi, at least those days, right?
Yeah.
Now things have changed, world has changed, people don't have that much of attachments, emotions. That world is changing now. So we thought we'll bring all of them online and give them a chance to buy it sitting at their homes. So that was the basic concept. And then I was watching a movie called Malamal, Nasruddin Shah's movie Malamal, and I said, this name looks attractive. And then we booked the name, domain name. Those days, domain name used to be like $75. You had to book it online, then send money by wire transfer to US. It was not so easy process. So somewhere we started that. I think the whole idea was to create the marketplace, but And I ran that company for almost from 99 to 2006, almost 7 years. We got initial angel funding, then we got pre-series A funding. That dot-com boom was there in those days, but I think the market was not ready. Frankly, I think we were almost, as I said, 9 to 10 years ahead of the time. So by 2000, the dot-com bust happened, and overall funding got. Nobody was talking to us for funding. So that is a time where, and company had a liability of almost 5 to 6 crore rupees. By the time I realized that funding is not going to happen in 2001. So the two options: one, close the company, run away. Second option, continue with that. I chose the second one, continued running it, paid everyone, almost like all the debts of vendors, employees, everyone. We paid. That was a tough time. Like I learned, couldn't become Malamal at the end of the day from monetary perspective, but really learned a lot about digital, e-commerce, everything. It was tough. I think really realized, being a first generation entrepreneur, no one in my family has done business before.
Yeah.
I was the first generation. One second, there is a power cut, so it will come.
Okay.
So I was the first generation entrepreneur. So a lot of learnings. And I learned, out of 100 things which I learned, 80 were the mistakes which I did, which I corrected in the second venture. But I think from the experience point of view, from the learning perspective, we became Malamal. Couldn't become Malamal from monetary perspective.
Yeah.
Then I think that was a tough time on the family front and everything. We never had money, a lot of people calling you. But one thing I'd always kept in mind, that the transparency, and I always used to take people's calls, whether I have to pay him 50 lakhs or 1 crore. I never ran away from that. And that is a big learning. I used to face people. I'm there. I'm not going anywhere. Not today, in 6 months, 1 year, I will pay you back. Mm-hmm. And luckily I could do that. So that after those 8-9 years of hardship of Malamal, I think I felt, and we learned a lot about digital. We learned a lot about e-commerce, and that's the real learning. I have personally gone and delivered at least 500 packets to the people's home. Wow. Right? Those are there was sometimes the boys are not there. Logistics infrastructure was not too early days, right? The whole thing was, logistic guys didn't know much about this. What is e-commerce?
Yeah.
I think doing that, then 2006, by 2005, 2006, I realized a lot of liabilities came down. We paid off people. From 70 people, we became a 15 people team. But those 15 people stayed with me. A lot of mistakes which I did, like hired a lot of friends and relatives. That was one of the biggest blunder I did. And I realized that doesn't work. If you want to create a valuable company, you need to have quality people in the company. So doing all that stuff, I think 2006-7, I started. A lot of these people who were selling on Malamal, like this, Polarities of the world, Karachis of the world, and then we had around 100-200 brands like that across India.
Yeah.
From Rasgulla, Calcutta, se leke everyone, and from somebody from Jaipur. So almost like good network we built. So those guys started asking us if they want to start their own website. That is where I realized the opportunity. By then I said, need to move from Malamal to some other place and need to do some pivot. So I felt that the Indian retailers, and we learned more about Indian retailers during that period. They know retail, but when it comes to technology, their understanding is very less. So these guys were talking to us that we wanted to start our own e-commerce site. How should we do it? So I think that's where we saw that opportunity coming around, and we said, let's build a platform where any retailer, small, large, big, should be able to create his own online store and start selling to the customers. And that's where the whole Martjack concept was born. And the whole idea was very simple. Excel sheet is a beautiful tool. I'm a lover of that. That is the best technology product built till date for an entrepreneur. You build a model, you are a billionaire that night, just have few drinks, sleep, and you feel energetic that the business is now, you are a $1 billion company. So I think we did the planning. There were 12 million retailers. We thought India has huge numbers, right? And they said, if we get 0.5% of that and each one paying me 300 rupees per month, wow, that would be like, I will be a most profitable company in India. But then I think that's a journey again. So that's how the Martjack story got built. And we started it in May 2007, where we started Martjack. I closed Malamal. I offered equity to all those shareholders in the new company. Said I'm not going to continue that. That's not going anywhere. The liability is almost nil. I had 1 crore close friends liability, not much, but then I think outside liability was almost clear. And so that's where I think Mudjack's journey and the background comes from.
Right. I think you're really too humble in the way you said, like, you delivered 500 parcels, and that Malamal's learning to building a very high tech product, right? I think the SaaS kind of story of Martjack is an exceptional one, because I think it was one of the first e-commerce enterprise SaaS thing. And you said one thing that you had people that you knew. Could you tell
Right.
more about we hear that at least from the sources that I know, you have a special thing for IITians, and you hire like people from very specific colleges from India, reputed the IITs and NITs. So how did that come in? Like, how did you as a entrepreneur start building a tech product and a completely enterprise SaaS?
Right. So I think as I said, first when we thought about Martjack, the idea came in, and I knew that this is a tech play. This is a complete technology play. Yeah. Although I'm a computer engineer with distinction in the college, but I have personally not wrote any code of even 1 + 1 = 2. So I don't know how to code. Frankly, I'm zero in that. The only gift God has given me is to identify right people, convince them, and give them the opportunity to work with the product and build it. So why we did when we started working on Martjack, the first thing we said, who will build it? The first question, right? I have vision. I thought of doing this, but somebody has to build it, right?
Right.
So that is the time where I think I was looking for someone, but then Nitin and Girish, I think you had met Nitin earlier.
Yeah.
Nitin and Girish were running a startup in Nanded, which is Maharashtra, a 30 people company. They were a services company. They were building products for others.
Yeah.
So I initially outsourced the work of, and I knew them. They were juniors to me in the college, a year or 2 years juniors to me, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I outsourced the work to them because I didn't have that kind of capital also available to hire people initially. So the work started between Nanded to Hyderabad. We used to take trains every weekend, go there, and their team. So it was like a rudimentary way of building a product, starting early stage of SaaS. And first of all, the SaaS word was not there those days. Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
When it was like SaaS was not unheard of. We were saying it's subscription model. I used to call it as we want to give our technology on subscription model. So that's how, and that multi-tenant and all those buzzwords came later, right? So I met Nitin and Girish. I called them. They came to Hyderabad. I said, I want to build this product. The first thing I told them that within 6 months, the product should be ready. And after that, we'll just keep selling, right? 399 rupees per month and 100,000 merchants. That makes around 4 crore rupees per month. And we don't have to do anything. Being the first time, I was also building enterprise SaaS product, right? SaaS was something new already. So our idea was to 6 months, the product ban jayega. Khatam. Uske baad kya hai? Uske baad to fir पैसे छापना है सर, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Girish also were they were like services mindset, जैसे कि ये क्या बोल रहा है, ऐसा कुछ होता है क्या, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then we said let's start somewhere. We started working on it. A lot of travel between Nanded and Hyderabad, but that time that relationship got built. We knew each other, but never worked with each other. But so they got convinced about the whole idea, and both of them actually come from a decent family background. Both of them were running a decent business in Nanded. So to convince them to close that business and move to Hyderabad and join Martjack as a co-founders was a tough task. Sometimes it was easy for me to, when I look at my task, I feel that was one of the toughest. So, but somehow I made it. So we decided to join hands after 6 months of working together. And their whole team, along with Nitin and Girish, moved to Hyderabad. And Nitin and Girish joined as a co-founder of the company. And then I think that's where the real product development work started. And we had the initial team of 15, 20 people. But then we realized soon that if we want to really build a scalable and a big successful product, we need to have a great talent in terms of technology. And Nitin personally is a great techie, right?
Yeah.
You have met him.
Right. Yeah.
We thought we need people who understand what Nitin is saying and what need to be built.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I felt that these guys from, so it was not specific IIT or such, but then I was looking at somebody who can really have that different kind of attitude towards work. And then we started looking for people. Luckily, even though we were in a 500 square feet office in Khairabad, I could convince people from Verizon, Amazon, Microsoft to leave their jobs, join us at 50% of the salary. And that is the only skill God has given to me, that I can show the vision and convince people. And I think they joined. We were lucky that the right team, because this time with my learnings of Malamal, I was very clear that instead of 50, I might hire 25 people, but I will hire quality people. So I will not compromise on the people's quality, and that's something is not going to work. So I think luckily luck also was in favor. We got right people around, and the team got built.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of amazing to see that you coming from that whole perspective, like of just the business to the product, right? The transition happened, and how did you actually find that you build the tech, and then as a service mindset of your other co-founders, right? It probably would have taken a lot of time to get the first paying client. So how fast was it? Like how when did you actually get your first paid customer?
No. So I think it was a learning experience. So we initially thought thousands of people will sign up like anything on the platform, all that stuff, right? But then when first of all, this whole SaaS itself is unheard of in those days. So Indian SaaS has evolved in 3 stages, right? If you look at rightly, the first SaaS was SaaS B2B Bahut Wali SaaS, right? That is the only thing people knew those days, right? When I went and started talking to them, I have a SaaS model, subscription model. They say, why will they take? Because those days people used to buy a Microsoft CD in Begum Bazaar for 100 rupees. And they say to pay for software itself is very difficult. Tally also, 80% people use pirated Tally, right? When in the data point. But it was very tough. So that started. Then the second SaaS wave came was a software and a service. So first one was a SaaS Bahut Wala, then software and a service.
Right.
So we realized that people understand service, don't understand software. So that model, that it need to be a combination of software and a service. And now I think the market has moved to a real pure SaaS to some extent. In global market, India still is a software and a service model. India is not yet purely a software as a service model. So first client was definitely from my Marjat days, Malamal days. I had many retailers, so I offered it to them free. We did everything for them, from photography, their upload of their images, their catalog, their description, whatnot, because we need to have those case studies, right? Some clients, and luckily because of Malamal, we had some relationships. So we could onboard few of them, 5-10 of them on board, made them sites live, help them, spend from our pocket for their marketing so that they see some transactions. So I think that's how we did. We said 6 months free, don't pay us. And initial package for our package was 299 rupees per month. The first initial clients which we onboarded were like 2,999 rupees per annum to your site. But then within a span of few years, then I think it became a different pricing model. It evolved to completely from 299. The last client which I sold was almost 60 lakh rupees per month SaaS fees. From 299 rupees per month, it evolved to that level. So I think the first client was a paying client. A lot of efforts internally because we knew them and they were our customers. But then I think that has worked out a bit.
Wow. Yeah. So do you actually remember the story of the first guy who paid the 2,000 rupees wala client jo bhi hai?
Yeah. I still remember. So those guys are still in touch with me.
Okay.
They were the shop owners in Begum Bazaar area. One guy was selling watches.
Yeah.
One guy was, I think, selling sweets.
Okay.
And we convinced them e-commerce is next big thing, all that sort of stuff. And, we did everything for them. But then what we realized soon that only creating a website or a product is not sufficient. So that is a different story. Then we evolved from SMB to enterprise subsequently. That is another big story which we'll talk about. But then I think I still remember those initial clients. I still remember the PCH Retail. There was a company called PCH Retail in Hyderabad.
Right. Yeah.
So I how many hours I have waited in their office. I can't count the hours. I wanted him to come online, but the owner was owner wanted to do it, but then that final decision was not happening. So multiple hours, convince them, but somehow I think it took 1.5, 2 years to really get. The first large client we got was Geetanjali Gems. I think that was the first large client we got from Bombay, and I think that actually turned around the whole. That was the first client who really paid us decent money and really used our platform, and that's where we also got confident. And the platform also was evolving. As I said initially, I told you that we'll complete the platform in 6 months.
Yeah.
But 9 years also, there was a laundry list of at least 500 atoms to be developed.
Okay.
Right. So the product never ends. One thing which I learned in a SaaS world or any technology world, that you cannot call that my product is over. It's always evolved, and it has multiple iteration, multiple times we have changed the things, and I think it's an ever evolving thing.
Yeah, I can totally get your point, because you always have kash mein ye kar sakta, and then that whole thing never stops. You always want to add one more new thing, and the customers also say it a lot of times. I think customer side से ही आता है. और
yeah, customer side से आता है, but कहीं ना कहीं पे बाद में आपको you have to decide कि where to say no, right? And then we learned that. Initially तो हम जो भी customer बोल रहा था बना रहे थे, but then we realized that कि everything new request then used to go through a process कि इसको करना है, नहीं करना है, क्यों करना है, और how many of our customers will use it. So that became a, तो that बाद में वो सब सीख लिया, but शुरू में तो वो सब था नहीं. पहले first 4 years, 5 years, so at least now if I have to develop again the 5 years of development, I think me and Nitin together will do it in 1.5 years.
Right. Probably
ऐसे कुछ बनाते गए और तोड़ दिया, बाद में यूज भी नहीं हुआ उसका.
Yeah. So I mean, it gives a very interesting perspective that most of the startups right today, they talk about product market fit. I'm sure you hear this PMF, they call it product market fit. So those days mein aapke paas you were certainly doing this for the first time as a enterprise product, and you're very right when you said the SaaS itself was not known. Software as a service became a fancy buzzword probably very recently after 2015-16, and 2015 I think you were acquired by Capillary. By the time SaaS actually was getting more like a buzzword.
Yes.
As you rightly said, software as a service versus software and a service, right? So if you see the evolution, I think a lot of it was more like the client server to something where you had to install on a system, because there's not cloud, right? I think when you started, I think AWS was not there, and now moving to cloud based SaaS, and now it's a mobile and cloud, and I don't know what next probably. So this evolution, I think when you started off, what was the distribution could have been a challenge, right? I mean, in terms of the software, in terms of how you can install. So
luckily what happened, Kashyap, I think when we started, the cloud also started at the similar time. So we were amongst the very few early adopters of cloud. And thanks to Nitin for that, for his thinking and vision. So we were in some paid servers, NetMagic or somewhere, I don't remember. But as soon as the cloud thing started, I think we identified that this is going to be the future. And we were like in 2009 or whatever is the time, whenever it started, might be the first amongst few customers of cloud. Marjak moved to cloud completely. That's number one. Then the multi-tenant system and all those things we learned during the journey. There was no white paper that we want to build this way, right? It all evolved as we had some knowledge about e-commerce because of Malamal journey. We built the first version using that. But then the cloud, that time mobile was not there till 2012-13. It was more driven by social media. So Facebook store and all those things were the buzzwords. The user wanted to have a store on the Facebook or social media. All those things also came in later. Subsequently, we kept on developing. But I think we were a cloud company almost from the day one. While I got the first client, I was in cloud already. So that way we were lucky, and again, that's a learning curve. Cloud also evolved, we also evolved. But I think that way we didn't have that challenge of distribution because it was always on cloud, so it was easy to do that. And that vision we had from the day one, that we never, when we used to meet the client used to have 100 requests. So I think that was a difficult part to convince the client that in the retail particularly, that where is my data, right? What data? My data is security. You have my competitor also. Will my data will be seen by him? 100 questions. So now convincing those questions itself was a journey. But one strategy we used was we always onboarded a leader of a category first. So that happened with Gitanjali, for example. So Gitanjali was a leader in jewelry category those days. While as soon as we got Gitanjali, other jewelers stopped asking that question to us.
Right.
Said, your leader is here. Then subsequently, we're lucky to have Walmart as our client. After that, this question became
Irrelevant.
I said,
yeah.
Walmart is on cloud. He's using our platform. Who bigger than that? Then Future Group, Lulu. So once you have these names, then people don't ask you this question. But the initial phase, convincing people about data security, although there is no data there, right? To get data there, you have to do business. But still, they have their own apprehensions. So the last question we used to ask, the only option you have to, even if you don't use cloud, you need to keep data somewhere in the server.
Right.
Unless you keep data in behind below your bed a server, I think it is going to be accessible to somebody in the world. So I think at the end of the day, it's a cloud world. You have to adopt it. So it took time, but I think convincing for SaaS itself was a big challenge. Then the cloud, then paying monthly for it. Those were the real barriers in the early stage of the product which we saw.
Right. So I mean, let us talk about like how you manage the funds, because the story that we hear is you were completely bootstrapped, or rather you ran with your own money. And it's a story in itself. A lot of entrepreneurs actually, idolize something like that, where you don't give equity to somebody, and you just got acquired in 2015, which is a exit for I think. So how did you manage? Like how was the story of funds basically?
Okay, so I think that is the toughest part of the business. I think to build a SaaS product or any product company, you need to have a lot of capital. So if somebody, some entrepreneur is thinking that I will build a product and product will become profitable in say year or two, I don't think. There's only exceptional cases like Zoho and all those guys who have made it. But 90% or 99% cases, to build a product, a scalable product, you need to have a lot of money. Unfortunately, we never got funded by the venture capitalist. Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know, right? So I would have got funded by the venture capitalist in 2007. They would have closed the company by 2010 because there was nothing happening, right? They said, "Oh, this is not working. Write off, close it." Might be, right?
Yeah.
Because they have that period, like their fund is for 5 years and they need to do something in that period.
Yeah.
So my story that it was not a bootstrapped, as I never had that kind of money. After Malamal's journey, I was minus 1.5 crores when I started MartJet. So there's no question of I having my own money, right? And my father was a government servant. His retirement amount was my monthly burn in 2012, right? Monthly, I used to burn that much. So there is no question of getting family funding or anything here. So our journey, our story is interesting because we raised around $7 million from May 2006 to September 2015. That exactly 8 years and 100 months of a journey. I raised $7 million through 80 plus angel investors.
Wow.
Across 11 countries and 22 cities. None of them I knew before. All of them I met during my journey. None of them were traditional. They were all either the bankers or they were the bank. They were all like reputed this thing, and had investment from rupees 10 lakh rupees to a guy investing $2 million in a company. So, and all this amount came in the company in 135 tranches. So the company was run for 100 months and the money came in 135 tranches. So you can just imagine every month people work on daily wages. We were building the product on monthly funding. 70% of my bandwidth has gone into raising money, getting these 80 people onboarded. Whether you have to raise 10 lakh rupees or whether you have to raise 100 crore rupees, you have to put the same efforts in convincing people. But luckily, I was lucky that I got a very good set of angel investors. I thank them always. Complete trust on me. So my record was that not a single angel investor had said no to me after my meeting with them. They have at least put in something. And at the same time, I had a record that no VC has said yes to me. I had 100 plus presentations to them in the 100 months journey, and all 100 times I got rejected for some reason or other. But every rejection actually made me more stronger. I said, okay, he's rejecting me. Let me prove myself and come back. And luckily, we were lucky that we could do that. And I think this story, a lot of people talk to me and they ask me questions during my presentations or meetings. So I suggest them that this looks very good when you look at it now in 2020. But during that period, 2008 to 2015, 100 months, out of that 55 months, where the period where on 5th I had to pay a salary of 40 lakh rupees and I used to have 4 lakh rupees in my account and I'm still trying. So we used to say that Jhato Rakesh Saiya Mar Sakya Na Koi. So there was somebody who was really supporting us to survive, and last moment he was relaxing a bit. So I got out of the 55 times, we got money at 52 times when the salary got paid. But I think I don't suggest that. It is too much of stress. I think if somebody would have done my medical test during the doctor would have said that this guy with the stress he would have had a heart attack or something. But I think too much of stress, and I don't suggest people to go with that route. It's like that Salman Khan ad when you look at on the TV on Thumbs Up ad. He's going here and there in the bike, but at the bottom it is written that don't try it at home.
Yeah.
Right. So similar disclaimer I have. It looks interesting, but very tough. I was lucky. I always say I was lucky that I got right kind of investors. They supported me, trusted me blindly. A lot of people ask me, how do you handle 85 investors?
Yeah.
I can tell them that none of that guy has actually troubled me or called me anytime. Boss, away, what's happening with our money? Because that kind of trust I could build with them, and I believe in that. My fundamental thesis of entrepreneurship or business is on trust, whether it is investors, customers, or employees. If you can build that, I think you can survive. And if your conviction about your idea and business, nobody can stop you from being successful.
Absolutely. I think so. Let's take one question. I think what's relevant to what you just said now. Mahesh actually has this question. So they have built a B2B subscription-based practice management tool in the construction domain. Essentially, it's in the construction domain for consultants, I guess. And so he says, like in the Indian context, it is tough to really sell, right? At least to the Indian. So I also had this question. When you actually see a lot of companies which are SaaS, like Zoho or Freshworks, I think they have a story where most of their customers are, outside India. So they, right from the day one, I think focused on, the foreign market, and they were successful largely. So whereas you started off more conventionally with the Indian clientele, and you built all the harder, one to probably build. So I think Mahesh also wants to understand, like, all said and done, it's extremely hard to, kind of get into the Indian market, especially like selling SaaS is a very difficult thing, because as you rightly said, it's software plus service, not as a service, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. So my take on the Indian SaaS even today is Indian SaaS ecosystem is not yet ready for a SMB play. It has to be, if you want to focus on Indian market, it has to be enterprise play, number one, right? And I'm very clear about it. I have seen hundreds of models, hundreds of people approach me for investment. I have seen a lot of failures.
Yeah.
If you look at the success stories, say Zoho, Freshworks, Capillary, all that. So Capillary, to that matter, is a enterprise play.
Yeah.
What we did after 2012 was an enterprise play. Even if you look at my revenues that time, I had clients, Indian clients were the least paying clients.
Mm-hmm.
So my suggestion to the people is that if you want to do a SaaS play or build a SaaS product, first build an enterprise product in this point of time, in next couple of years. It should be an enterprise play, and learn in India, build in India, and sell internationally. That's where the money is. If you are thinking that the Indian businesses will pay you for SaaS at this point of time, even enterprises, the real money will come. So your product should be adopted by Indian customers first. That's your playing ground. Net practice, do it, let them adopt, evolve the product, then go international. And that actually has helped me. SMB play, anything like construction industry, you're planning to do it to the consultants, or you're trying to do it to the retailers, or you say 12 million retailers, each one start using me for 100 rupees per month. Mm-hmm. So SMB adoption of SaaS, it's still another 5-6 years as far as my view goes. So if you are looking at a SMB product where you want to target SMBs, look at global markets. That's the only way you can see the scale happening, because there is adoption, that market is much mature. They understand SaaS, they pay for it, they pay in advance. And in India, people don't pay for, SMBs don't pay for SaaS. Even enterprises don't pay for SaaS, right? Much, but at least enterprise story has a opportunity to scale globally in the countries like, and when I say globally, my general suggestion to the entrepreneurs is look for Southeast Asia, Middle East.
Yeah.
These are the markets. China is very tough to crack again. And the US and UK is something there are only exceptional stories which are successful, like Freshworks and Zoho and a couple of them. But then out of 5,000 people tried, becoming successful, it doesn't become a benchmark. And they were lucky. You need to be right people, right product, right team, right timing, right money. 100 things has to fall in place. So they were there, so they were lucky, right? Exceptions. Yeah. Even Flipkart became pretty large. On MartJack, I have seen at least 2,000 people trying to build next Flipkart. They lost everything what they earned in their life before. And out of that, I only got 2%. 98% went to Facebook and Google for advertising and employee salaries.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way, right? So my suggestion is that if your approach towards Indian SMB, don't really build for them. If you want to, unless you have a focus in the international market, build a SMB centric product. And enterprise is the play. I still say another 5 years, focus on enterprise, take it global. They pay. And when I say enterprise, I say my definition is at least $3,000 a month or $2,500 a month, paid monthly. And there are people, enterprise are now adopted SaaS. So don't worry about that. They are still in legacy systems or something. That has actually changing, and it's changed a lot. Yeah. And people are now open for these innovations and everything. But don't build SMB products focusing on Indian market. You will acquire 100 customers every month. You'll see 60 going down. That attrition is going to kill you. And any attrition more than 15% in the Indian context is a bad metrics for a SaaS business.
Right. So what was the story of MartJack's, Indian versus outside India kind of customer, like in terms of pre and post capillary acquisition?
Right. So I will talk more about pre-capillary acquisition. Post, I will bit aside. I think, as I said, from 2007 to 2011, we were a SMB focused company. So I have seen both parts of the world. We had around 2,000-3,000 customers signed up with us. We had an inside sales team, we had outside sales team. We tried everything because we had no one to follow. There was no one to follow, right? We were doing the first SaaS company. How do you advertise? I gave advertisement in Times of India front page. Economics Times front page also I gave the ad to say I thought a lot of customers will come. I used to get 700 calls. Out of that, 400 were housewives. Irrelevant, basically, right? But no one. I said that might work. We tried inside sales. We did direct sales model. We tried everything, and because we were the first ones, so we had that advantage and disadvantage of that. So after seeing that part of the sales process, we got some clients. We definitely got some clients. If you look at the paying client or who really valued SaaS, were mostly the multinational companies. So Walmart was my customer. They used our platform extensively, and they really paid us decently. They valued our value. Unilever was my customer. Amazing relationships. They used us. So Lulu was my client. Then we went internationally. First, we went to Dubai market. So we said, let's try Dubai. Right? Let's try India. Most of the CIOs there in the retail companies are Indian, right? So we said, let's try that. So we had one partner there. We experimented. We didn't have money to travel to Dubai much because it always we never had funding, big funding. So, but then we saw a couple of clients from Dubai signed up, and the same guys for the same service, what India was paying 7,000 rupees per month, that guy was comfortable paying me $1,500 per month for that. So they value the business and your service. So I think that's where we realized that either the multinational companies or the clients outside India will value your business better than the Indian. Now, Indian customers are also changing. During my time, no, they were not. Even they were like, first, why SaaS, why cloud, all that. But we saw that. And international is something then, when I look at exit, I saw 40-50% or 60, I will say 65% of my revenue was coming from either the multinational companies or the international clients. So that's a complete turnaround change, which was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's understand, like, since you mentioned pre-capillary, let's understand, like, what was the thing like, because this SmartJack's acquisition by Capillary was one of the most talked about thing by entrepreneurs and a lot of circles, especially in the Hyderabad ecosystem. So how did the deal really happen?
So Capillary from the year 2007 we started. Capillary started in 2008.
Yeah.
So we are almost together. Uh, Only few SaaS companies were in India, so I knew Anish, we knew each other. We are, and the clients are same. Most importantly, Capillary's focus is CRM and the loyalty. So that was only for the offline world, the in-store part. Our was the virtual world. So that was completely different, but customer was same. So we're in 2014 or 2015, we're talking to one of the venture fund who is also an investor in Capillary for a round in our company, and we were having a decent number by then. So that fund actually initiated this: why can't you both of you get married, and then we can have a much larger story on the same client. There's overlap, and we can build a much bigger story. 1 + 1 = 10, right? That was the story. And I think I also felt that is the right approach, and then met Anish, great guy, and I think great synergy. So we did the detailing, and the transaction went through, and it was like Warburg invested to fund that acquisition, and all that is a story. And I think it was done well, I think, and it was quite a great synergy between the products offline, and it becomes a complete omni-channel offering for a retailer.
Yeah.
Right? They are taking care of offline, we are taking care of online, and the whole thing together makes more sense. So then thereafter, their existing clients like Pizza Hut and all other companies started, Biba, who were already their clients, started using our platform also. So we could do a lot of upsell and cross-sell, and that worked pretty well. So that is how the acquisition was driven. I think in terms of number, would prefer to keep it confidential because of the attributes which I have.
Sure.
But I think it was definitely a decent exit. Luckily, all the investors, I had a huge list of investors. They made from 2-3x to 40x returns.
Wow.
A lot of team members. We had 176 people team, so we made sure that the good amount of cash is distributed amongst the team, and that was something which I'm proud of myself. I could take care of it because the whole story happened because of the people, and I personally feel that out of 8 out of 10 I give to the team, because I didn't have funding, I didn't have a godfather, I didn't have a VC. What my biggest asset was those 176 people who in the bad and worst times stayed with me. There were days where we couldn't pay them salaries, their incentives were not paid, but I think they had a blind trust, and they really stayed with me during those periods. And when the time came, we could reward them a bit, apart from the investors and everyone else.
Yeah, amazing story. I mean, I just want to clap for you, because I think that was probably the moment when even I can also kind of associate a little that feeling of how it feels, when you pay back to those people who really help you, when they stand by you when you cannot give them. I think that would have felt really amazing. So I think
So not just those people, frankly speaking, I think there were at least 30-40 people in my journey who really helped me in a manner which they did without any expectations. Where they gave me some loan without interest, they extended some help, and that was very critical at a critical time when nobody was helping.
Right.
So I'm sure that those people are also rewarded. Created a list of them, rewarded them differently. I don't know what that value was enough or not, but then my balance sheet was very negative. I said, let me neutralize it a bit. At the same time, like one of my investor, like Mitesh Majithia, this is the guy who invested almost $2 million in my company, and the kind of support he provided me. So there's so many such people who really, apart from Girish, Nitin, anyway were the pillars. And then Umesh, Kedar, there were at least 10-15 guys who were like standing, we are with you, right? in whatever scenario. But I think what happens when the money comes on the table, people change their mind. So I felt that that's not the right
Yeah.
approach. Uh, and one thing I have realized, Kashyap, after my exit, so those were the 18 years. I never had more than 50,000 rupees in my account, and I have never seen. Virtually, I was always a millionaire, right? From when I started Malamal and first round of funding
Yeah.
happened, that was 12 crore rupees valuation. So I was never below 10 crores in terms of virtual.
Yeah.
But in the bank, I never had more than 50,000. There were days where I couldn't pay my daughter's fees. And I have seen everything what an entrepreneur should not see in the life.
Yeah.
But when I exited, what I realized that after $1 million, it's all just number, right? You have that middle class ingredients in you that doesn't
Yeah.
change. Matlab, whatever you do, you still have that. Only you feel more relaxed. I don't have stress now.
Yeah.
What has changed is that I'm able to spend 20% extra time with my family. Other than that, I think nothing has changed. I'm still the same.
Yeah.
What I was before.
Oh my God. Okay. I think we remember, asking the same question to Fanindra Sama, the founder of Redbus. And he
Right.
almost said the same thing. So I think it's a trait with, some of these entrepreneurs who are very grounded. So I think there's certain kind of category of entrepreneurs, I guess. So, I mean, if I may ask you, like, did you actually make a good exit personally in terms of?
Yeah. I think definitely a good exit. It was worth those 18 years of efforts.
Okay.
And as I said, I made exit that definitely made me happy. But that day, that 3rd September 2015, I felt more happy that I could bring a positive change in at least 300 people's life, including investors, employees, and them. That actually was that was a more happiness for me than I making money.
Mhm.
Right? I think
Yeah.
that's how I.
Amazing. So, I mean, let's understand a little bit about what was, back in 2015 when you exited. So let's talk a little
Right.
bit about, you said, there was no competition, or rather there was nobody to get inspired from in terms of the tech, right? So I think if you see the West, I think there were people who are doing omni-channel e-commerce, right?
Right.
Later on, and then there were many Indian companies as well. So how is the landscape, like, especially when you talk about enterprise e-commerce, SaaS back then and
Right.
now, like what differences are majorly there?
I think there is a lot of change. I said, I told you in the one line that it started from SaaS B2B Bauthi to software as a service to a SaaS
Yeah.
now. So it has gone.
Yeah.
Today, earlier enterprises were not really willing to buy a SaaS story. Very tough to sell. Now it's not the case. Now they have every large company must be using a couple of tools which are on SaaS based solution. That had changed. Lot of during my time when I started Martjack, investors were not very keen on the SaaS story. Very rare because they didn't know anything. That is unfortunately a problem with me, that everything I start either it starts much ahead of the time or little ahead of the time. So to even Malamal, when I started, it was 9 years ahead of the time. So what is e-commerce was the first question used to come. So when I started the Martjack story, SaaS story, what is SaaS was the first question asked by the investor. Forget about the investing. And now when I'm working on Recycle, what is W-commerce? We're talking about West commerce. We call it about West commerce.
Yeah.
I said there is a lot of commerce in West. So luckily the period has come down. In Malamal it was 9 years. Martjack it was 3 years ahead of the time. I think here we are on time, hopefully. Right. So I think the point is that the market is ready. A lot of money is available if you have a decent MRR. Earlier in my times, even if you have 10 lakh rupees MRR per month, you are a fundable story.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the things are expectations are more. The people are now during my times, there was no metrics. Attrition kitna hona chahiye, what should the acquisition cost, what is the per employee cost. कुछ नहीं था मतलब who will have it, right? There's nothing to prove. But today I think the metrics are well defined for SaaS. The attrition ratio, CAG, everything is well defined. So if somebody is able to, and the investment is available in plenty. If you have a right product, right kind of team, and right kind of fitment, I think investment is not a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And like, okay, now let's talk about investment. I think you have also now worn the hat of an investor. So what is your portfolio currently? And if you can just share a little bit about the thesis of investment for you.
No, so I am an accidental investor. So when I came out, I first thought of taking a break of 6 months.
Yeah.
But when the sixth day at home, I realized that I can't sit at home. I need to do something.
Yeah.
And my family started feeling that their privacy is disturbed because this man is sitting at home, because I was never at home. Uh, then I started meeting people. Many places I was called as a speaker, and a lot of entrepreneurs. That is the time I said, this is the time. I even now also monthly, I meet 4-5 entrepreneurs every month, at least whenever I get a chance. Give them my frank opinion. Some like it, some don't like it. I can say in last 5 years, at least there are 60 to 70 guys who have closed their startup because of my suggestion. And couple of them are not yet. So everybody has his opinion. They have pivoted or changed closed the startup. So I invested in 6-7 startups. I think a couple of them like PaceWave is amazingly doing well, and there are one or two I exited, one or two I closed. So I think it's a mixed bag. So there was, and I invested on people. So my philosophy is very clear. I'm a people man. So if I like an entrepreneur, I invest on him. I'm sure the way my investors invested on me, they didn't have any numbers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They just invested on me. So I did the same thing. The one very important aspect for me is the team. If the team is right, if their attitude is right, and most important, the integrity. I think if that I'm convinced, like my investors are convinced about my integrity. They say कि अब कुछ भी करेगा लेकिन एक पैसा इधर का उधर नहीं करेगा. And that's something you have to build that trust. That's the reason they never used to call me.
Yeah.
And transparent, completely used to be transparent with them. So I invested, but I think then I realized that I still have 2 more entrepreneurship stints. I am not an investor material yet. One of the idea I thought of starting $100 million fund, even did some work on those lines, got some commitments, but I realized that कि भैया ये तो अभी मेरा काम नहीं है, मैं अभी भी काम कर सकता हूँ. So that's where I think I went back, dropped that idea, stopped the investment also. I'm not doing any investments now. Last one I did around one and a half year back. So out of 7, 2 closed, 1 exit, 2 are doing well, 1 is moderate. That's a mixed bag. But I'm no regrets, whatever. That's a risk capital. And my philosophy is very clear. Shut it, fill it, forget it. Right? As soon as you invest, if you are investing in startup, fill it and write off.
Right.
Same day. If it comes back, pass the reverse entry. And if you are not with that attitude, don't invest.
Right.
So
amazing.
So I think that's the approach.
Great. So in terms of specific opportunities that you see, right, in SaaS, do you see there are some gaps where you feel ki yaar, wish somebody built something like this? Are there any areas that you see are like gaps that can be?
Oh no! If I know that, I would be building something new. But anyways, I saw a gap in waste management. So कचरे में घुस गए हम. But I think everywhere there is opportunity. Let me put it this way. I think nobody would have thought that technology can disrupt waste management, right?
Yeah.
It was the bottom of the pyramid. Last thing people will think about it. And I'm proud to say that after 4 years, we have cracked it. We have rack pickers using our app. We have kabadiwalas using our app. We have recycler using our technology. So we are seeing that happening. So, but you need to have patience, perseverance. It doesn't happen overnight. It need to have a long period. So the opportunities does exist everywhere. Only you need to really look at that in that way. Nobody would have thought that the CRM market will be so big, right? And you are seeing so many players building so many solutions, even Khata Book to that matter.
Yeah.
But we don't know how the revenue model is going to be pan out. But there are the things to be built, and I think there are multiple opportunities. Only thing which you need to have is a very, very important thing is while you are, if anybody is thinking about building a SaaS product, he need to keep 2-3 things in mind. One is that he should, from India point of view, he should focus on an enterprise play if possible, if it is an India play.
Yeah.
Out of India, SMB, enterprise, both works completely. And I think any space, even construction space, you might find opportunity. कचरे में हो सकता है तो फिर construction में क्यों नहीं हो सकता? I tell you the extreme, right? E-commerce is at the top and West commerce is at the bottom. So anything in between will work.
Right.
But you need to say anything you are building should solve some problem for a stakeholder, and there should be a additional revenue or something for him there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Recycle also is as you rightly said, it's a waste management. It's also a SaaS product. I think you have a kind of a 360 degree for everyone. I think in the entire supply chain probably. So what's the story currently of Recycle? Where are you?
So Recycle is not really a SaaS story, I will call it. There is a SaaS angle into it, but it's very small, frankly. It's basically a marketplace story. It's the ecosystem story. And we are in a phase of market making there, right? I think we're, even after 3.5 years, I feel we are early there. We're still figuring out the ways. But this is the story where this is completely disconnected ecosystem where the generators, processors, recyclers, municipal corporations, all are disconnected. It's like they operate in their own world.
Yeah.
What effort we are trying to put is connect them digitally, right? We don't collect waste, we don't pick waste, we don't store it, we don't process it. As a company, we don't do all that. But there are millions of people who do this in the existing world, and there are thousands of people who are in the ecosystem who doesn't add any value. So what we thought, can we just bring a digital intervention and connect all the stakeholders so that the unnecessarily stakeholders goes away and the better margins and the money goes to the right people, and it brings more traceability, visibility, and all that stuff. So it has social angle also. So when we do it that when you take care of the waste, there is a social aspect also. But for us, the social aspect is not that important. Social aspect is a byproduct for us. Definitely, it is important, but a byproduct. For us, it's a commercial business, which right now we are doing almost 8 to 10,000 metric ton of waste gets channelized every month from our platform, and that was like that's pretty high, and we expect it to like 2 million metric tons of plastic e-waste will be transacted on our platform by 2024-25.
Wow.
So it's a huge opportunity, huge one, but then again, informal, so more efforts required. So I think that story is panning out. A good team now, and as I said, my general suggestion to all the entrepreneurs is that only keep those 2-3 things in mind. So while you are building something, is the team. I think my suggestion is get the right team. I think team is the most critical aspect, and I think we could do it again in Recycle. We have got the right kind of team in place. Create the right culture. The other suggestion which I can give them. Very important, because I think that only makes your organization large. Irrespective of money, we could survive on MartJack is just because of that. And third, most important for an entrepreneur is build trust. I think if you could build trust amongst customers, employees, and investors, done deal. They will support you even in any case you are in. And I'm a live example of that. Right? I have seen that live, and I feel that. And for me, my team is the team first. People talk about customer first. My philosophy is team first, customer second. If my team is taken care, they will take care of my customers. That itself will take care of my investors. So team, customer, and the last one is the investor. Naturally, he will be taken care of.
Absolutely. I think great kind of fine points that you said. One last question that I have, I think after that we can open it up for the for the attendees. I'll just add them into the conversation. So I always wanted to know, as a entrepreneur myself, who's into edutech largely. So how do you said like team, like I totally get that, having hired a lot of people in the past. So how do you actually, today upskill yourself to be relevant, especially in the sales and marketing? Because I mean, I'm more of the sales and marketing side. I'm the business side of things. So what are the current tips, so to speak, to SaaS-based founders who actually kind of run SaaS companies? Virtually everybody is trying to sell a piece of app. I mean, it's all software, right? So, and we all sell to B2B, and most of the times you sell to some enterprise eventually, unless you are a very consumer application. So what do you suggest?
What has worked for me, I will tell you about. I can't. I'm not that big expert of thing. My approach of sales particularly was, whenever I used to meet a client, whether it was Future Group, Kishore Biani, or whether it was any other customer, I never really sold anything to them. Never really tried to sell anything to them. My first thing was, I need to build that relationship and comfort and trust with him. I used to go in the meeting. I have never done demo to my clients. I have never ran PPTs with my clients. Very rarely. If I have that, I know he has some problem. That's the reason he has given me the meeting time. I know that there is some interest. Otherwise, nobody will spend time. In that first 10-15 minutes, if I could not connect with him, right, in the emotional sense, in the sense of that person as a person, forget about the designation or what he is, the sale is not going to happen, right? So build that connect And I think that's something. I don't have a formula for that. That do these 5 things, the connect will get built. This is something, it will evolve as a person. So I think if you could build that relationship, build that connect, build that confidence in him that, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, I'm sure the sale becomes secondary. Naturally, the sales become secondary. So the first meeting, whenever I said, sir, I'm not here to sell. Tell me what is your problem. And then we tell what we have done with other clients or whatever stories we have. And don't go in the hard sell. Just build that connect and confidence. Things will turn out. Sales is by function of a relationship. It's all relationship. You need to build that connect and relationship. Sales is done.
Right.
And if you just do the hard sale, PPT lagaya, blazer pehen ke gaye, this is, I think, many in Indian context I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But when you do it in the other part of the world, the approach need to be different.
Absolutely.
Wahan pe people don't want that time pass. Point pe aa jao. What do you want,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So again, depends on which market you are doing.
Yeah. So I mean, any specific experience of cold calls or cold emails or something where you just landed into the client's location?
Oh, multiple times. I was waiting for hours. I thought PCS ke office mein I have waited almost. I knew all the models of the TV which he had in his show.
Right.
Multiple times. Even Gitanjali, I will tell you, I was made to wait for almost Mehul Choksi. Now he's famous for some other thing.
Right. Yeah.
He was the time for a meeting, and he was like, I was desperate to get first large client, so I went there, and he asked us to wait for almost 1.5 hours outside. Then we were called inside. We went inside, and then first question he said, and he had that proposal on his table. So aisa dekha. He didn't ask us to sit also. We were standing. 1.5 lakh रुपए. तेरे पास तो सब बना हुआ है. इतना पैसा क्यों चार्ज कर रहा है? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
It's SaaS model, na? You have this advantage and disadvantage of SaaS. तेरे पास तो बना हुआ है. मेरे से पूरा लेगा क्या?
Yeah.
So I said, I can't explain him cloud, SaaS, technology investment. He's not even asked us to sit there, right? So one thing I came in my mind, and that was very risky thing. So I said, sir, do you ask the same question to Aishwarya Rai? Because ऐसे भी सुंदर है, ऐसे भी फेमस है, 2 फोटो के 5 करोड़ क्यों ले रही है, right? So right, he realized that. I think he took it in the right sense, signed that order. 2 things would have happened. He would have said, get out. Anyway, I know that after 1 year I got his appointment. He would not have given me appointment letter.
Yeah.
I said, this is the last chance I have. So that immediate instinct made me sure I asked this question. And he realized that there is some value. This guy have put efforts to build this.
Yeah.
He has to, only in his language, when he got that message, he appreciated it and we got the contract.
Yeah.
So these are the examples. And one example I can tell you, early days SaaS, one client in Hyderabad, we sold him the solution and he came back. He sent his person next day to our office, 6,000 rupees per month with a hard disk. And he was in our reception and he said, साहब ने भेजा है, क्या हुआ? बोले वो source code लेके आने का है. बोले कल हमारा बंदा आके वो SaaS solution बेचा, वो source code मांग रहा है.
Oh my God. Okay.
There are the extremes which we saw because of the early days of SaaS. Now I don't think anybody will do that because I think that much awareness does exist.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, great kind of story. So, I mean, in any of those cold kind of, meetings, do you think the conversion was more there? Like in terms of, did you surprise yourself by convincing them in a cold kind of a meeting that you had?
Yeah. So many times it has happened. I think, as I said, if that initial connects happens, might not be in that meeting, but subsequently in the next call or something, we have seen things changing where we're not expecting the client to really come and sign up with us, but that has happened multiple times. I see the advantage we had is that there was no SaaS product. The e-commerce was new. And we had that advantage. Again, what product you are selling and what time you are selling also is important.
Right.
So I think some cases it helps, some cases where we thought the deal is done and then we realized after 1 month the client is not signing up. We were like came back celebrating कि हो गया है, close हो गया है, तो वो भी हुआ है काफी बार. So I think that's a part and parcel of any sales process.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I think a lot of things that I can also relate to my sales stories. So great kind of insights. Let's kind of open it up to people. I think we have Hari Yashwant, my co-director of the chapter. Hi, Yashwant.
Hey, Kashyap.
Hi. Do you guys have anything? I think Hari, you had a question quickly. Can you Can you go ahead and ask it, Hari? I didn't quite understand the question, so it'll be easier if you can ask it yourself. I think you typed it here. If I can read, Hari, are you there? I can't hear him apparently. I think he. I'll just read it out. I didn't really understand it well, but probably if you do, you can go ahead answering it. So he typed saying. Seed-based SaaS models for farm sector, your advice on the same is highly regarded. So that's what he typed. I think he's talking about more of an agri kind of a SaaS model, which is into seed-based SaaS models for farm sector.
Yeah, but I think this is like we need to understand who is going to pay, whether the seed companies or whether the retailers who are selling are distributors or farmer. So we need to understand more. I think let's connect offline, and if he has any question, ask him to email me. I will try to answer or speak to him later.
Sure.
Because just on this one-liner, difficult to answer this.
Yeah. I think I'll do that. I'll get the question more clarified. I probably will connect on the email.
Yeah.
Yashwant, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a question that I really want to ask Abhay. You said building the team, how you prioritize things in a startup, right? What do you look for in a team member? What is your modus operandi when you're interviewing somebody?
See, I look 2-3 things. One is, for me, the most important aspect of a team member is a positive energy. I think that is 70% for me, right? Even if he doesn't have few qualities, even if he's not good in few things, I'm sure that we'll figure out. But the positive energy, the positive attitude towards the solving the problem. If these two things, when I meet a person, the first thing, my whole objective to look at how is he looking at the problems and what situations, how he's going to react. So my questions are more on those sides. If I see that the person has that positive energy, for me 60-70% work is done, right? Apart from the people come to me only when technology interviews anyway I don't take, right? We have people to do that. But when I talk about business development, sales, strategy, co-founders, all other stuff where I look at that part of it. And if that is, I think if that exists in the person with a basic attitude towards the work, positive energy, I think I go for it. And I generally has worked. And one thing, as I said, I can't code. I'm not a MBA from a best college, so I am good in recently. I do a good sales, but one of the gifts God has given me is that reading the people. Right, I could connect to the people pretty well, and I think that is the only strength I have. Which when I meet somebody in 15 minutes, I realize that, and then I know the other team also, so I need to look at that fitment also. Generally, I look at the people who are like different kind of people. The same kind of people in the one team doesn't make it one sense. They have to have a different kind of thinking, different kind of thought process, different kind of skills also. So for the core, when I talk about the core team of the top 10-15 people, I look at that fitment aspect also when I look at the team. And the second thing I do, my way of working is that once he's in, give him the complete responsibility. I don't believe in micromanagements, and I never do that. And give him responsibility, let them make mistakes. I know that out of 10, 7 times he'll do mistakes, but definitely that, and motivate him to try new things. So I think that is the people who have positive energy, even if they fail 4 times, they will still try it 5th time. That's the reason I talk about that positive energy part of it. So I look at these 2-3 aspects when I look at a team to be working with me.
Great.
Insightful, thanks.
There are a couple of more questions. I think one is a little more generic, which already is touched upon. So Sandeep asks us, like, any chance of looking at investing in early stage edtech startups? So I think Sandeep runs an edtech startup, so an early stage edtech startup.
Right. So I have, as I said, I have not. I have stopped investing for last 1.5 years fully. But if Sandeep needs any help, I can connect with. I know the investor, so I can connect. If he can share his his IM and everything, you can share my email ID, and I think I can help there. But I personally is not investing because now I'm back to the entrepreneurship, so wanted to just be focused there.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Sandeep is here. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one from Mahesh, I think, which already is, you touched upon it. How did you find and hire
Kashyap,
good
can I
people
talk
when you
for
were
a while?
bootstrapped? Yeah, Sandeep, go ahead. If
Yeah,
you have a question.
it was nice meeting you, Abhay, in
Hi,
this
hi,
meeting.
Sandeep.
And hi, I could see myself in you. I just started my business when I was in BTech second year. Okay, I
Okay.
started selling books. What after 10th, what after intermediate, and then I started a NGO to promote student club activities. Then later I had gone to Bangalore and did MBA in supply chain management, and then I started a digital marketing training firm at Hyderabad during my MBA first year itself. And like I could see the same. Even today, I am having office team and all, but there is no single penny. But when people look outside, they feel like he's having a lot of money or whatever it is. So we keep investing in technology, we keep investing in team and all. So recently, what has happened due to pandemic and COVID, we started building an learning management system and
Okay.
an Udemy kind of platform where the instructors can come and they can upload their videos and they can like an e-commerce platform you can consider like edtech education as a technology platform we are building. And along with that B2B business model, we are building an LMS platform for schools and colleges where they can conduct online classes. If they miss any class, they can watch the recorded videos. They can take the attendance and they can see the events information in the college and all this. We have built an app, and yesterday itself the final trial runs have been completed and it was successful. And we are going to implement on our physical. We are having a classroom training in Hyderabad. We are implementing on that, and we will use that app, and then we are planning to go and fetch some investor and showcase them the idea. So one, we are having B2B business model for directly to the schools and colleges, and we have B2C, that is like an Udemy platform where the students can come and buy individual courses as well. So this is what we have built during last 6 months with a team of 6 developers and 1 testing person, and I was the guy who wrote the algorithm for it. I am similar like you. I am good with connecting with people and strategy, but for me coding is like Tare Zameen Par. So I can only write an algorithm. So I was
I think you got muted, Sandeep. Sandeep, you got muted.
No, sorry. I think we'll
I
connect.
think
offline.
yeah, I think probably can connect over email. We are already, I think, surpassed the time by 15 minutes. So thank you so much again. I don't think we have